Hello.
They're supposed to come into you, not to me. I'm
Hey.
not saying anything.
Oh.
Now I am.
Oh, now I know. I have to make noise. I have to talk.
And then the thing switches.
And
Have Steve
it's a
say something.
podcast. I'm waving. Welcome to our behind-the-scenes recording of our podcast. We're glad you're watching, and if you want the full, edited, shorter audio version, visit www.carnivoretheology.com. Welcome to Carnivore Theology, a podcast that answers questions about the Christian faith to help you grow from milk to meat into wise, skilled, world-changing followers of Jesus Christ, with theologian and pastor Chad Graham, and in this corner, pastor and author Al Dejanot, and me, your host, Steve Bastian. Today's topic is, why do people decide to home educate their children? Part 2.
Okay, somebody has Chad selected. What?
Why have I ever select Chad? I'm talking.
Steve's not popping up.
Well, let's all select Steve.
Well, they'd have to see my face the whole time.
I
Alright,
selected Steve. Did that help?
No.
I
No,
didn't say nothing.
I don't know what's going on here.
Am I still here? I'll mute myself.
No, it's all good. See, there's me. Say something, Steve.
Hello, 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 hello.
I see him. He's popping up when he talks to me.
Oh, he's not popping up when he talks to me. Okay, whatever. Moving on. Hi, everybody on YouTube. Let's do this properly. No wonder we're dropping readers.
Have you ever felt like nothing ever goes your way?
Try Malox.
What's Steve drinking?
Oh, we're looking for a sponsor now. There we go.
I know. It was at the bottom of my backpack. It was I think it's like 2 years old now. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Intro it, boy.
Good. You guys...
The only markers I use are Expo low order whiteboard markers.
I don't know anybody who's got that as a sponsor. They're probably looking for somebody. Probably a conservative Christian group of homeschoolers, probably. Who uses more whiteboard markers than us? Nobody.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hey. Aren't you guys supposed to be talking and I come up upon you?
Oh, well, we come up on you, I
Did you
suppose.
introduce the podcast yet?
Sure he did.
I wasn't paying attention. Okay. Ready? Chad, you say stuff and I'll react to it.
L. All right.
Hi!
All right, so, L, there are no exits in this direction. We're going to have to turn around.
I'm looking everywhere, and I cannot get out of this homeschooling conference. We've lost Todd. I think he managed to make it out. Now we have to figure this out. You know what we should do is we should go try to find Steve again, see if we can figure this place out.
Well, hopefully he distracted that gaggle of women and had them out of the way, and we can get right around.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, hey, look at...
There he is. He's cowering in the corner. Let's go get him. Poor Steve. Come back, Steve. He's just rocking back and forth and whimpering.
As usual. As usual,
Steve,
we came back for you. We're always here for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Guys, guys.
Soft kitty, warm kitty, little ball of fur.
It was horrible. The butterflies were everywhere.
Yeah. Okay. We're back.
Okay.
All right. Why don't we wander around, take a little look around this place, see if we can bump into some people, and let's do a little talk as we walk. How's that sound?
Hey, look, they have a coffee bar. I'm going to stop in and get something.
There's an idea. All right, cool.
Okay, let's get us some lattes there, Chad.
Once again, I make the sound effects. Let's keep you out of it, okay?
All right, sorry. There you go. Three black Americanos. Just the way Steve likes it.
Okay, I'm off now. Oh, okay.
Where are you off to?
Giggle Land.
Oh.
Okay.
Well, let's leave again.
Yes. Why don't we leave? Let Steve recover.
Okay. Sorry. You guys are nuts.
The butterflies!
More nuts than me. I really appreciate hanging out with Todd. I mean, that guy is. There's a reason that people ask him to speak at events like homeschooling.
Yeah, he was really helpful.
You know, I really enjoyed. It's making me want to go home and reevaluate the time I'm putting in with my kids. What about you guys?
You're going to pull them out of that Muslim school you have them in?
No, we don't have a Muslim school. Say it like Chad says it, Muslim.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed talking to him as well. I thought he had some helpful and some wise things to say.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it feels to me like walking down that hall took weeks. So, some of the initial excitement starts to, dull a little bit. But
yeah, we're here at the homeschool conference because Al, Chad, you both are homeschooling dads.
Yep.
That's a pretty daunting task, especially when you listen to Todd and the responsibility that is given biblically as dads, and now you're sending your kids at home and you're supporting your wife. Do you see it as a bit of a priesthood of the family? No.
Yeah, no. It just sounds.
Hold on. You know what? Let's go different. Forgive me, Steve.
Yeah, that's okay.
Let's stick to the script, and maybe you can throw out the. Why don't we go wander around and talk to some of these people? Let's see what Rebecca. Okay, hey, how you doing? Let's do Rebecca. Then we'll do that and we'll go back and forth. Otherwise, we're going to be here forever and try to make stuff up.
Awesome. Steve is being told to stick to the script. This might be the first time it was not one of us.
I was trying to look for a natural way to get there, but
you're flying off the handle, Steve.
I know. I'm nuts. Yeah.
You're a bad pilot. You're flying low.
You're holding on too tight. You've lost the edge.
No, I'm flying high.
Now.
That was a quote from Top Gun.
Okay. Yeah. Let's walk around. We got our Americanos here. Let's walk around. Let's see if we can find some interesting exhibits or someone really cool to talk to and yeah.
And you know what we should do? Just for fun. Let's see if we can run through the meat grinder.
Oh.
I brought the computer. It's in my backpack. I always bring it with us wherever we go, and I just want to see how they do.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hey, that lady over there, she looks like she actually knows what she's doing. Let's go talk to her.
Okay, let's do it. Steve, why don't you do it? You do it.
Yeah, Steve. It's always funny watching Steve talk to women.
Yeah.
I had I have the questions and stuff that we asked Todd. I'll do it.
Okay, here we go.
You want to say your name? Your first name?
Oh, Rebecca.
Rebecca. Why did you decide to engage in a home learning environment?
Basically, Steve, my husband, was a classroom teacher, and then we moved to Vancouver from Saskatchewan, where homeschooling isn't allowed or wasn't popular, and so then he got a job with Heritage and online, and so basically then we thought as a family we'd try it because that would make him a better teacher to be able to say what works, what doesn't work.
Right. Good. What is the best part of the home learning for your family?
For our family, basically that we really are together 24/7 and really know each other and can walk through all ups and downs in life instead of just driving them places and losing track of who they are, I guess.
Great answer. What's the most difficult part of home learning?
Probably the multi-ages. And since I don't like to teach one curriculum to all, I'd like to individualize the grades. It's kind of hard to keep on top of all the subjects and just where they're at and what they're good at and what I'm good at.
Yeah, that's great. Anything you'd like to share with a potential homeschooler, home learner? Any one tidbit?
Probably to kind of try it as like a long haul thing because you're not going to really see how well it's working in a first year or something. So it's kind of a how do they call that? Life-changing, when you try a new diet. Like it's not just for a time. It's like a whole concept for everybody. It's like a makeover for dad, mom, and kids. Probably more for the parents, but
right. That's good.
Yeah.
Luther, Calvin, or L. Ron Hubbard?
Calvin.
Charlotte Mason, Montessori, Waldorf, or eclectic?
Charlotte Mason.
In communion, wine or Welch's grape juice?
Wine.
Will there be bacon in heaven?
Yes.
Good answer. Pick one book other than the Bible, if you could only pick one.
Trusting in God by Jerry Bridges.
Ketchup on a hot dog, yes or no?
Yes.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Oh, Heavenly Hash.
Oh. Batman or Iron Man?
Oh, Iron Man.
Nice. What term do you like to use? Unschooling, homeschooling, home learning, or something else?
Homeschooling.
Wow, she did.
That might just have been the very best meat grinder we've ever had.
You know what? I'm going to run her through the computer and find out how this goes, okay? Let's see what happens.
Ding.
All right. Yeah, that was the best one we've ever had. Clearly, she's off the chart.
We need to stop asking PhD students and pastors and start asking random people we meet on the street.
Random people we walk up to and ask, that's awesome. Hey, Chad, how did you and your wife get to the point of saying, we're going to homeschool, we're going to home educate our kids? Well, can you tell us a little bit about that process and how you came to that decision?
Well, if I put it in really simple terms, I had the experience of being in all the different kinds of school. I was able to participate in traditional public school, in a private Christian school, and homeschooled through my background, so I had some familiarity with all. And then through part of the work I completed towards Bachelor of Education, I did some internships in public schools about 10, how old am I? About 15 years ago now. And got to see, again, just an update of kind of what was going on in that world. Carmen had just gone through the traditional public school route and didn't have some of those other experiences. And she actually asked when we were pregnant with our first child, she says, what do you think we're going to do for school for our what turned out to be our daughter? At the time I said, we should probably talk about that, but we got like 6 years, so let's not stress about it yet. And literally that's what we did. Over the next little while, we just sort of discussed what priorities we had, how we wanted it to go, and for us, fundamentally, it was that we had three expectations for our kids. One was that they'd be raised in their schooling in a way that was an extension from our home rather than a contrast from our home. So there's lots of ways to do that. The traditional public school wasn't going to work for that because it has so many things that teach against the beliefs that we have, and we knew that that would be a very challenging place to put our daughter and tell a 6-year-old, well, you can't really trust your teacher. She might be a nice person and she might help you a lot, but she's also going to do a lot of things that are just wrong. She's either confused or she's deceiving you, and you can just discern that as a 6-year-old. And it's like, that's ridiculous. I didn't even want to put her in that position. So we kind of knocked that piece out, and then it turned out that we didn't have lots of money, so that knocked out the private school route. So then my wife said, I could try it for a year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And just to follow up with that, have you felt it was a good choice for your family? I mean, I know you're still doing it, and it's been more than a year.
Yeah, and actually with our second son, he's a little bit too young, but he always saw his older sister doing school, so he's been begging to do school. So we finally decided, hey, why not? We just put him into kindergarten, but we just did it at a real relaxed pace, whatever he wanted to do. Every day he'd beg, can I do school today? Can I do school today? So he's enjoyed it. They do the alphabet and some very basic reading words and stuff, but he's just excelling at them. And one of the things that was interesting with him, he's 4 years old now, he was having some speech impediments, and going through the curriculum, which had songs and focus on the letters of the alphabet, he had to reproduce them, and it actually ended up being a tremendous help in the clarity of his speech. So that was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Awesome.
But for me, the number one thing is the values. We chose a Christian curriculum intentionally when I went into it. I wanted, again, an extension of my values. It's not perfect, but it generally reflects it. And so I had a hierarchy of theology was number one. Number two was academic credulity. And then number three was a style of teaching, because I wanted my kids to be able to work through a system of curriculum in a way that taught them how to be self-learners. I work in a job where I have to set my own pace and timing. I have to complete tasks, and I had value because of the education I had. So we put those things together, found a curriculum we liked, and I've seen that. My daughter has become someone who loves to read. She's 7 years old now. She reads, Chronicles of Narnia books, Harry Potter books, whatever. She can just read them quite well. She surprises everybody with her reading ability. She loves it. Our big activity is to go on daddy-daughter book hunts. Our son now again is beginning to go on this path. So I think we've been very, very helpful with that. But the character development, the training in our curriculum is about family, about God, about morality, and she reflects it. She talks to us about it, and she says, one of her curriculum components is Bible, and she's reading through the Gospels, and so she's, Daddy, when Jesus did this, remember when this? And that's just a discussion we're having, and that's from her school, and so that's fun.
Isn't that the best? I love that part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Hey, there's a guy over here that is another guy, which is
amazing.
Hey, guy! That's
look at you, guy!
and he's wearing dress pants, a dress shirt, and a tie. Let's go talk to him.
That's a guy with it all together.
Okay, let's see what happens here.
Al, you could learn something here.
I don't know. We'll find out. Let's run him through the meat grinder.
Yeah.
What's the best part of home learning for your family?
The best part of home learning for our family is really cause us to have to be intentional in parenting and deciding what our children are to learn. And it has also made us to be, I believe, intentional in how to disciple our children.
Good answer.
Yes. Not that we do any of that perfectly by any stretch.
What is the difficult part of home learning?
That you are prophet, priest, and I know there's a phrase I'm repeating here, but that you always are responsible for all things, but we often, especially in this society, contract a lot of that out. When you are homeschooling, you are responsible and carrying it out.
Right.
And your imperfections can become very evident.
Right. Anything short you'd like to share with potential home learners?
Pray. Homeschooling is not commanded by the Bible, but it's definitely one way that we can do a good job of discipling our children, and a good way we can educate our children. But we should be obedient to what God is calling us to do with each of our families, and in the end, that responsibility rests with us. So read the Word, pray, and then do what you feel God is calling you to do.
What's your name?
Bill.
Okay, number 1, Luther, Calvin, or L. Ron Hubbard?
Calvin.
Number 2, Charlotte Mason, Montessori, Waldorf, or eclectic?
Waldorf for the toys.
Communion, wine or Welch's?
Well, Welsh is like in our church for sure.
Number 4, will there be bacon in heaven?
Absolutely.
Pick one book other than the Bible if you had to pick one.
Pilgrim's Progress.
Ketchup on a hot dog, yes or no?
Yes.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Vanilla.
Communion, leaven, unleavened, or gluten-free?
I'm confused on that whole question, but I usually go for, I would say, unleavened.
Batman or Iron Man?
Batman.
And what term do you use? Unschooling, homeschooling, or home learning?
I use homeschool. That's right.
Okay,
That's
that
awesome.
was good again, but I love how two observations. One, Steve's getting shot down on his made-up terminology he's trying to force on everybody. and two, I'm starting to feel bad for Luther. Has anyone noticed that nobody's picked him in any of our
I know. Well, let's find out. Let's run it through the computer, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, not as good as the last one, but that was not too bad. I think he lost points on the vanilla.
Yeah.
And
Well, you know what?
nobody's favorite flavor is vanilla.
I was going to
Vanilla
say.
is an ingredient in other ice creams. Okay?
Maybe he meant like that Breyer's all-natural vanilla.
we see the little black
It's
flecks of
still an
vanilla.
ingredient in other ice cream flavors.
It's an ingredient on
It's
apple pie.
It's like getting the primer for the paint
Yeah,
and
but
then calling that your favorite color.
You don't want to put heavenly hash on apple pie.
Yeah. Hey Al, let's stop talking about vanilla ice cream. And Al,
Aw.
why? I'll ask you the same question. Why did you and your wife decide to homeschool your children? And you
Actually,
have like 4, so
I have 4, yeah. So actually, we sort of fell into it. We knew a few homeschooling families, but hadn't really considered it at first. In fact, our 2 boys, which were born first, they did a year of private Christian school when they were in kindergarten and grade 1. So when we moved to Ottawa from Cleveland, we were actually planning to put our kids in school here, and we even bought the backpack and all the school supplies when Anita kind of, both of us looked at each other and we went, what about this homeschooling thing? She'd been thinking about it for a long time, and it just kind of just showed up in our minds. And she had some friends that were doing it and thought it was something that maybe we want to try ourselves. The idea behind it was sort of daunting, as in, like, where do you start and what do you do? But we didn't, and we definitely didn't want to screw up our kids too much. But we realized that even when we put the kids in school, we were ending up doing hours of homework in the evenings anyway. Plus, Anita was pregnant with number 4, and we wanted control of the schedules. For example, with the ages that our kids were at the time, we would have had to be at the bus stop 3 times per day in January with a brand new baby. So that was a big reason why we did it. So we asked some friends, and they kind of helped us out. They sent us some free curriculum, and we were on our way. It's been really challenging at times, but it's been overall pretty awesome. So I guess I would say it this way. We didn't react to anything. It wasn't a reaction to anything negative. It's not like we looked at the public system and thought, oh, that's terrible, we're not doing it. Or it's not like our kids had a bullying problem, or that our kids had special needs, or anything like that. We simply just kind of felt drawn to homeschool. Now, as we've been doing it over the past 8 years or so, I think our reasons have certainly solidified. We've seen some of the weirdness that's gone on in the public system, that intense secularization, the closed-mindedness towards religious beliefs, the rise in bullying, and the rampant troubles with the sexualization of younger and younger people and students. And we're glad we never put them in, so we don't have to pull them out. But again, it was never about reacting to negatives, but more about increasing the positives. Homeschooling has allowed us to get to know our kids more, and for our kids to be friends with each other. We spend a ton of time together. It's helped us guide and customize their schooling to give them more relaxed at times and then more focused at other times, sort of an approach to education that's customized to them. We know what they're doing when they're doing it, and what they're not doing when they're not doing it. I really like that quote by Rebecca where she said, losing track of who they are. We're not losing track of who they are. So it's given us a chance to build their character and to guide them in their Christian faith so that they're more ready for what the world is going to throw at them when we finally do bring them out. I could go on and on about all the positives we've experienced in homeschooling, but the fact is we love being with our kids, and I think it's the best way to raise them to be godly men and women of godly character and active citizens in the kingdom of God. It's the way that we've chosen to make that happen, which are the highest priorities for us.
That's great. Yeah. I want to make a comment here. That your wife used to tease me about being homeschooled.
Yeah,
So,
it's true.
when you guys started homeschooling, I was kind of like, they get it now.
I tease me about homeschooling, okay? I freely admit that we are a weird family, and the more people we meet, the more interactions we have with other people, it makes you different. It makes you see things different and interact with different kinds of people, and it definitely has its own subculture, but it does makes you a little bit weird.
Yeah, well, at least you guys didn't completely resist homeschooling because you knew me.
Actually, that was the biggest thing that held us back for those 6 years. I love this.
Thank you, guys. I love you too.
He walked into it. He walked right into that.
I'm going to go over here and ask this lady. Her name takes is Allison. Let's go talk to Allison, and I don't have to put up with you guys.
Good idea.
Yeah. So why did you decide to engage in home learning?
We wanted the opportunity to be able to guide our learning based on our son's gifts, and this provided an outlet for that.
Awesome. What is the best part of home learning for your family?
I think it's the flexibility of the programming in terms of what we're choosing for materials. We find things that are suitable for our son based on his learning style. And also, if we want to take an extra week here or there off, if we need that time, or want to work through the summer, we have that option.
What is the most difficult part of home learning?
Probably waking up in the morning. Yeah, I mean, the thing with flexibility is there isn't always a set schedule, and so just making sure that you find that time in the day to do the things that you need to. But yeah, I think that's probably the most difficult part.
Right. And anything you'd like to share with potential home learners?
Dream big. You just have such an amazing opportunity to be able to grow your child in God, and just for them to, you know, find fun in learning again, and just be committed to, you know, search for their gifts, and just, yeah, have fun. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you like to participate in the meat grinder?
Oh, I guess so.
At the end, say, please don't use that.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just rapid fire questions. Answer
Sure.
as quickly as you can.
Okay.
You know, and usually in our intro we will say you will be judged and you know all that on there. So.
Okay.
But so, number one, Luther, Calvin, or L. Ron Hubbard?
Calvin.
Charlotte Mason, Montessori, Waldorf, or eclectic?
Eclectic.
Communion, wine or Welch's?
Welch's.
Will there be bacon in heaven?
Yes.
Nice. Pick one book other than the Bible if you had to pick one.
To Kill a Mockingbird.
Ketchup on a hot dog, yes or no?
Yes.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Strawberry.
Nice. Communion, leaven, unleavened, or gluten-free?
Gluten-free.
Batman or Iron Man?
Batman.
And what term do you use? Unschooling, homeschooling, or home learning?
Home learning.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks.
That's awesome. That's the first gluten-free we've gotten so far. I wonder what the computer's going to do with that, because it's really funny, because we did this scientifically. It's not like any of us programmed the computer, so it's completely scientific. So I want to really run this through and see what happens.
And I think we're starting to find, too, that Martin Luther is the Iron Man of theology.
There you go. I'm getting that on a shirt.
Yeah, we should really have a prize for the guest that picks Luther, you know, next, like a special award or something, right? You win.
It's like back on that TV show. Remember when you were a kid? It was called "You Can't Do That on Television."
Yes.
And there was a certain word that you'd say, and all of a sudden the green goop would fall.
The green slime.
Anybody who says Luther, it's just all of a sudden we just freak out on him.
You know, it is totally fascinating, because both those guys are such a huge, tremendous influence. But I'm curious, because I wonder how many of any of our people who we've interviewed have really read very much of either of them, and how much they're reflecting certain traditions they're in. Because, of course, in North America, Lutheranism is a very small group, but Calvinism is very broadly represented.
But Calvinism has its negatives in that, you know, hyper-Calvinists and all these jerks that, you know, the rest of that kind of drive
like
the really bad side of the internet. You know what I mean?
No, totally. And I was going to say, but on the other hand, it also means he gets his negative press too. But I'm just curious if they're picking that name because that's more of an influence, or have they read him and actually really like Calvin?
Well, let's assume they have. I mean, we got to take that into account, that they might actually know what they're talking about.
Homeschoolers, head of home education, you know, they value education.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, Al, is the computer smoking?
Yeah. What's going on?
We've had to process a lot of answers right now, and this thing's pretty old. So, I mean, the dot matrix printer attached to it is actually quite ancient. Why don't we give it a little bit of a break?
Wow.
Anyway, see on question 8 how it says, Al, you can ask Steve. I completely missed that. Hold on a second here. Ready?
So anyway, Steve.
No, I want to do it. I want to do
printer.
it. Hold on. I want to do it. We talked about this earlier. Okay, ready? So, Steve, dang it.
Anyway, so while Al's busy with this dot matrix printer, we should probably ask you as well, Steve. Why you and Carrie have decided to home educate your children?
Home educate.
Yes.
I use that terminology because we live in BC, and homeschooling and home educating are actually two different things legally. Homeschooling means you're completely off the grid. You basically only have to exist, and there's very little support for you. Home learning is actually through the school. I actually work through a school that supports that, which basically is it's learning at home, having a teacher support the family, and there's money attached to that. And it's in BC right now. We're blessed that it works very well for many Christian families, Catholic families, the broad term Christian. So why did we decide to get?
But that also means that the government gets their fingers in your pie.
Yeah, but we always have that other option, which is something that my wife and I talk about as if the government gets their fingers more and more into the pie, then we would do that ourselves personally. So it's nice to have an option that we can. Right now, we're blessed with extra support from the ministry.
So Steve, just clarify that for me. We have a very similar thing here in Alberta, so I'm wondering.
Absolutely,
Okay, yeah.
You actually have 3 levels there, which you have more options there. In Alberta, so it's land
of options.
Yes, land of options. But the reason that Carrie and I went into it, the home learning, homeschooling. Well, I was traditionally homeschooled for grades 7, 8, and 9. My mom was a substitute teacher, part-time substitute teacher in the public school, and she taught a lot in the junior high. And when I got to that age, she wasn't going to have me go there. We only had one school in our town at that time, and some of the stuff that happened there, just a few years before, I think it was in grade 5. Someone was actually murdered at that school. This is a small prairie town, so it's a pretty big thing. So there's factors there. It was a good experience, so much so that I opted to continue a distance learning for grade 10, 11, and 12. And so I got my matriculation diploma by actually mailing stuff back and forth and phone calls with teachers. So
the Stone Age.
The
wow,
Stone
that's
Age.
ancient, man. Were you using a 28.8 baud modem to send that in and faxing in your homework?
I didn't even have that then. It was literally printed off, put in the mail.
Wow.
So and then when I got my teaching degree, when eventually the Lord twisted my arm enough to go into teaching, because I resisted that quite a bit. I always had a heart for parent-centric education, and the Lord. I did teach. I did lots of practicum and experience in a public school. I taught a Christian school for a while, and that was a really great experience. But then when we had our own kids, it was almost a no-brainer. We're going to home educate, and my wife was leery to begin with, but she actually enjoyed it in the end. And we're getting ready for our second to start kindergarten next year, and we're really blessed that I can actually be the teacher to support this. I get to support my own family and get paid.
That's allowed?
It is allowed.
Wow.
And it's they actually see it as a good thing because we're held to accountable professional standards, but we get to see our kids every day. So it's it's allowed in a campus school. You can teach your own kids. So
does that make you harder on yourself or easier on yourself?
I actually ask people to review my files of my own son. More often, I actually asked one of the hardest reviewers of the school to review my files a couple times, just because I want to be held to a high standard.
Sounds about right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's amazing how different our stories are, though, eh? That Chad kind of slid into it, and I just kind of accidentally fell into it. And you've been thinking and talking about this for, well, I guess I shouldn't say Chad really slid into it. He took 6 years to make the decision. I just kind of accidentally fell into it, and then you actually were reacting to the system, and that you definitely weren't going in there.
Yeah, that was my parents' choice. There's great teachers in the public system. I one of my practicums was a really tough inner city school. I loved it there. And the choices and stuff those teachers had to deal with was incredible. And I was really blessed that, the teacher that supervised me was a Christian, and, we had many chats about that, and it really impressed on me. So I don't have any aversion to that. I think, the people there are doing great work. It's just sometimes I think the model might not be the best.
And that's, I think, is a really important distinction whenever we talk about that, because I have severe concerns about our current public system from a Christian and from a pastoral perspective, but I don't necessarily have problems with the majority of the teachers that I personally am aware of. But the system itself,
Yeah, I agree.
Even those teachers are complaining about the challenges and difficulties that they're facing.
Well, I think we all know teachers who have chosen not to educate their children in the system.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have that in our school. We have people that teach in a public system and that they homeschool through us, and find ways to make that work. Hey, here's someone that we should ask the question. That's Claire over there. She's actually kind of like the vice principal for my kids, their education.
Oh my
goodness. Let's go. Let's run her through this.
We got to run her through the meat grinder.
What's your first name?
Claire.
Why did you decide to engage in a home learning environment?
I knew that my son didn't fit the classroom model approach of education.
Right. Okay. What's the best part of home learning for your family?
Relationship.
Nice. What is the most difficult part of home learning?
Feeling like you have to cover a whole bunch of material that someone else says is important for you to cover.
Yeah. Anything that you'd want to share to a potential home learner?
Enjoy your children. Trust yourself. Just listen to the Spirit of God and the life. And when things aren't settled and things get hectic inside, it's probably because they're striving in the law and not the Spirit.
Okay. Luther, Calvin, or L. Ron Hubbard?
I don't know them.
Charlotte Mason, Montessori, Waldorf, or eclectic?
Spirit.
Oh. Communion, wine, or Welch's?
Communion, wine, or Welch's?
Yeah, communion, wine, or Welch's grape juice?
Oh, either.
Will there be bacon in heaven?
I don't think so.
Ooh, that's not a good answer. Pick one book other than the Bible if you could pick one.
Pick one book out of the Bible?
Other than the Bible, if you could only pick one.
I like DeMello's book. What was it called? The Way of Love or something like that.
Okay, ketchup on a hot dog, yes or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
Favorite ice cream flavor?
Favorite strawberry, let's say.
Okay. Communion, leaven, unleavened, or gluten-free?
Doesn't matter.
Batman or Iron Man?
Batman or Iron Man? Iron Man.
Okay, and what term do you use? Unschooling, homeschooling, or home learning?
Home learning.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you. I don't know what the computer's going to do with all that. Wow, okay.
Indecisiveness is seen as a form of
it doesn't matter.
So, she must be a bureaucrat. Did you say she's in some sort of, management?
Yes, she is a equivalent of a vice principal, if you want to try to put that school into
we
that
love you,
model.
Claire. You are our Christian sister.
Yes.
We just happen to disagree with a lot of what you said. Not because you're wrong, but because we disagree with you. I hope you understand that.
Not because you're wrong. No, well, you know what? She was wrong on the bacon question. That's
not wrong on the bacon question.
Yeah, definitely clear. Yeah.
Didn't know Calvin or Luther. We'll see how this goes. Okay, it'll be interesting. Let's run it through the computer. Explosion sound.
All right. Well,
okay, she blew up the computer. What are we gonna do? Okay, we have no idea what to do with that information. Okay.
Thank you, Claire. I really appreciate Claire and the wisdom she does have for knowing how to navigate, government and teaching your kids at home. So, yeah, that's why I purposely made a point of asking her. So,
very important skill sets to have. I would say her questions would put her slightly above L.
Well, I'll tell you what.
But slightly below some of the others we had today.
Us three have not been through the meat grinder yet.
Yeah, but I didn't even need to hear yours to know she'd be just slightly above yours.
And I don't know how well the meat grinder computer actually does with bureaucratic answers. I just don't think it reacts well to them.
It likes the strong-willed, independent thinker. You know?
If you're gonna be wrong boldly. I think.
Yeah, as Luther would say.
Well, one more question, guys. Let's end it on this. Do you believe that, and we asked this question of Todd, do you believe everyone should homeschool their children? Whoever wants to go first.
I think Todd's answer was very wise there when he mentioned that all of us are in fact going to be doing some level of homeschooling our children, whether it's Steve or whoever it was talking about Steve. I think homework at night after coming home from school anyway. You better be interacting with the curriculum and understanding what's going on. To me, what I said earlier, I think is really important. I think as Christians we need to be very concerned to be faithful to pass on godly training to our kids. It's commanded in Scripture in Ephesians chapter 6. We're to train our children up in the wisdom and admonition of the Lord. Currently, I have severe concerns that our public school system trains them up against the wisdom and admonition of the Lord. So that puts put your child in a place of being pulled back and forth. Again, that's not to belittle any individual teacher. I know some wonderful Christian people who are involved. In Alberta, we have great options. Not all of you will have this available, but we have charter schools, which can be Christian schools. We have Catholic schools, which are a bit of a hybrid. And then we have the traditional public schools. Traditional private schools of all various shapes and strides. We have homeschooling. I'm not up on the terminology in the same way Steve is there, but we participate registered with a school system, and we have advisors who come and do home visits, help us with any questions we might have, help us in curriculum selection and issues if we have them, do tutoring for our kids. They can participate in the schools, in labs, in PE, in sports. So it's very holistic that way. We have had a very healthy and happy relationship there, and the person that we work with is a teacher who actually works within the Catholic school system. And who's a wonderful Christian person. So I think there are lots of options, and I think the way we got to look at it is to really realize how can we best obey Scripture. And with the kind of options we have, to me, I don't think you just go for the blasé. But homeschooling or home learning in and of itself, no, I don't think that's particularly commanded. It may be wisest, it may be not. That depends on you and your family.
I guess that, to me, that's your bureaucratic answer, which I agree with in principle. That idea, if it might not work for everybody, but at the same time it's not commanded in Scripture. Let me go a different way with this, and the fact that when we talk about institutionalized learning and the difficulty that that brings to our children, and we see how the institution of the school is actually going completely, we could even say demonic. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. I'm from Ontario, and there's some crazy stuff going on in the public schools. I mean, they're teaching bad things that I can't say on the podcast because my children listen to the children in schools here, okay? Like, there's some bad stuff. And so a Christian who is concerned about the character, the well-being, and the spiritual life of their child, I think it is almost incompatible, if not incompatible, with putting them into a public school environment. It's just too hard to counteract that much socialization happening to your child. And so I wouldn't say it's commanded, but I would say it was unwise to take your children and stick them in public school. Now, can you find a Christian school and say, okay, that works? Now you're still dealing with the institutionalization of your children and them all being brought down to the lowest level and institutionalized education, things like that, how it's not going to be personalized, how they're still going to have to get up at 8:30 in the morning or 7 o'clock in the morning or 6 o'clock in the morning to get there, and that might not be compatible with them, things like that. So there is some negatives to that. So maybe there's some other options. In Ontario, it's definitely far more limited than it is for you in Alberta. However, there's some real negatives to going there now. So I would say that as a Christian parent, you should really strongly consider homeschooling your kids. Now, that being said, there's a lot of single parents out there, and there's a lot of double income parents out there. Me, I would say, and might come across as extreme, but I'd say the double income parents, Mom, quit your job, stay home, educate your children. as a Christian. You need to. That is your first and most important responsibility. Sell your big house, move into a smaller house, stay there all the time, and get to know your kids.
But you should say, "Oh, that's not quitting your job. That's taking a different job."
There you go. Take a different job. Yeah, the one that doesn't pay, and stop going on. Exactly. So at the same time, the single parents, I feel you. I don't know how you're going to do it, but maybe you can pray about it. But man, public education is really, really, really messed up.
Yeah.
And it's to the point. It's the history, it's the morals and ethics, it's the culture and socialization that you experience, and then it's particularly the agendas of today. Aristotle always said that a state needs to control the education of its children because by doing so they control the power base of the state. And I think that we're seeing that really happening today, where there's certain influence from certain elements of leadership within our government that want to perpetuate a new agenda, and they need to make sure that our kids agree with it so they'll vote them back in. Man,
I could do a whole episode on that. Man, I could.
Absolutely. It's a huge topic, but we all have made choices as individuals and their families, and with this podcast we want to share that a little bit with you, and we very much welcome questions on our SpeakPipe page and such around this topic, because
certainly
we are passionate about it and really want to explain that well to people. So
we got to get out of here.
Wrap it up. Is that an exit sign?
I think I just see an exit sign. Okay. We're going to have to run the gauntlet here. I can see a whole lot going on the right here with a bunch of these people that are just dying to get on the meat grinder, but the computer blew up, so I can't do it. And to the left of us, I see a whole bunch of homeschooler moms, all in matching jumpers, and about 200 kids that are all behind them. And there's only 3 families, so I'm not talking to any of those guys. I'm going straight ahead, okay?
I love that it all was all worked up about institutionalized education, but here we are with people with matching uniforms in an IKEA-like building.
I know. Okay, we got to go. Okay, head down and just go.
Go! This has been Carnivore Theology with Chad, Hal, and Steve. Thank you for listening today as we discuss homeschooling as an option for families. To find out more about Carnivore Theology, or if you have any topics or questions you want for us to cover in upcoming episodes, visit us on our website, www.carnivoretheology.com. Or leave us a message on our SpeakPipe page, speakpipe.com/carnivoretheology. If you like what we're doing, please like us on Facebook, rate and subscribe to us on iTunes, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We encourage you to connect with your local biblical church and keep your eyes on the cross.
All right. Bye.
Buonanotte.
Bye.